Hey guys, it's Ethan from Zimmer Labs. Today's video is going to be really short and sweet. It's just an update video on this Inception that I built for William. The first video I did was comprehensive, but there were some minor tweaks and additions, variations to sound fonts and such that I hadn't finished yet and have done my best to do them now. So this is basically part 2 of the video, but there's also one really cool new addition that I've done with this. This is the fully removable chassis Inception that I did. That's a first, and then this guy is also a first, at least for me. I don't know if anyone else has done it yet, but these guys take a 1-inch blade in every situation, except I modified the emitter such that it can now take a 7/8 inch blade using a aluminum blade adapter. And that's a big deal for me because I personally prefer a 7/8 inch blade versus a 1-inch blade all day long, unless you're talking about a crossguard hilt. That's pretty much the only exception where I prefer a 1-inch blade, but for this guy, 7/8 is awesome. And this is such a thin, light, really accurate hilt. You don't want to have a big thick blade. It just seems out of place on this guy. Let me show you what I mean. This is actually the original blade that I built for this guy, and that's what it looks like. It's fine, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's a bit too big in my opinion. The blade shouldn't be that much wider, or that wide compared to how thin the hilt is. And I've always wanted to get a 7/8 inch blade going on this guy, but the problem is that, see how much better that looks? That is just so much more in keeping with the design of this hilt. The problem with doing this was that the inside of this emitter section has a heat sink built in, which is the part that actually holds the emitter onto the neck. So you can't do without the heatsink. So what I did was I cut the heatsink down so it was just flush, but then because the blade connector has to sit there flush on top of the heatsink, the blade itself couldn't slide in far enough to have it be stable without that section of the heatsink that I had removed. So the only solution was to mill out this top portion of the emitter so that around the edge, all the way around the connector, I milled it probably just over an eighth, probably just about an eighth of an inch deeper, so that the blade can now slide further into the emitter while the connector sits inside the blade, which is why the blade, as you can see, the connector is recessed, and that enables the connector to make a good solid connection, the blade to be very stable, sit nice and deep inside there, and even when you insert it, the metal blade adapter fits almost entirely inside the emitter. Before, without milling it, it looked about like that, which still doesn't look bad, but it's not quite what you want to go for because you don't really want to see the blade adapter. So once it's all the way in, really from straight on angle you don't see it. You only see it if you look really closely at an off angle. But most importantly, as you guys can see, this is nice and stable now. So you've got a nice 7/8 inch blade that's not going anywhere. Nice and rock solid. Fits in there, retains well. I did actually upgrade the retention screw and made it a couple sizes bigger, but that's kind of something I do on all these because this small tiny retention screw is really easy to strip, and rather than having to have 10 or 15 of them handy because you keep stripping them out, it's easier to just make it a slightly bigger retention screw. It's still not really noticeable, it's not an eyesore, it's not ugly, but it works a lot better. It's a lot more secure than the little small screw. Let's fire it up, show you guys how it looks.
Hello there.
with the 7/8 inch blade compared to a 1-inch blade.
Another happy landing. Weapon is your life. Weapon is your life. You're uncivilized. You know that. You're uncivilized.
Alright, so that's how she looks with the 7/8 inch blade, and I think that's great. I think the whole thing just aesthetically looks a lot better with a thinner blade on it. You guys also obviously noticed that there are Obi-Wan sound clips played during certain clash effects. That's just something that William wanted specifically done on this saber. It's not something that I typically do. I mixed some quotes in with some clash effects using Audacity. It's a very simple program to use. You can just take a couple different sound files and mix them together. And I only put 5 or 6 on in a couple of the sound fonts, so that if it's something you like and it's great, cool. If not, you can just jump to the next blade and there's no quotes being played during clashes. And it's pretty random. There are, I want to say, 15 clash sounds in this sound font. And like I said, I mixed 6 quotes into it. So 6 out of your 15 are going to have a quote with the clash. But that, as you can see, only turns up probably every 3 or 4 clashes you get one. And they're random, so hopefully you don't end up getting a whole bunch in the same quote in order, because that would just be silly. And it does seem to work pretty well. It does seem to mix and match them pretty well, so you don't hear a lot of the same thing back to back to back, but there will be times when it does happen. So as you see there, we got one quote repeat itself 3 times, one repeat itself twice, and then 2 other quotes play just once. So not perfect, but pretty good, and they're clear enough that you can really hear them distinctly separate from the clash effect. The next thing to show you guys is, for every blade preset there is a quote to play, basically like the font name, except it's an Obi-Wan quote. That's another thing William wanted, so.
You can't win, Darth. We'll go to the Dagobah system. I have a bad feeling about this. The jungle and wastes are not to be traveled lightly. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. An elegant weapon, but a more civilized age. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. I will do what I must. Chancellor Palpatine, Sith Lords are our specialty.
Gotta love that. One of my absolute favorite quotes.
You are the chosen one! The Force will be with you. Always. You must do what you feel is right, of course. The jungle and wastes are not to be traveled lightly. Father's lightsaber. This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight. Who is the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows it?
Another great Alec Guinness quote.
Obi-Wan. Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time.
Probably my favorite.
And the Force is what gives the Jedi his power. These aren't the droids you're looking for.
And yeah, of course, that's my favorite.
This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight.
And I think that's number 1 again.
You can't win, Darth.
Yep. So you can tell where you are when it gets back to, this is the weapon of a Jedi Knight, is your opening blade. So
this is the weapon of a Jedi Knight.
We'll jump back to it. The first blade is bright blue, white clash, white drag with a little red to it, and then a nice bright white lock up. Oh, and white blaster block. Next blade. This is also blue. But a different color blue. Third blade up. This is a blue fire blade. Then we have a bright red with white white activation.
The jungle and wastes are not to be traveled lightly.
Followed by standard fire blade. Followed by a blue and white audio flicker blade, I believe. It's got a red and yellow audio flicker clash function, which really does stand out and look awesome in person. Hopefully you can pick that up on the camera. And this is a magenta or purple Tron blade that cycles up from white, I think. Yeah, it starts white and cycles up to purple.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes. I will do what I must.
Nice bright green. And I would say this is a cyan. Then a nice slow yellow with a corn horn, sound fun, and then from there on, all my standard blades that I put on most sabers. The reason I showed off the first ones was because there were specific requests that William had made for his opening blade array. So basically that's about it. Nothing else has changed from the first video. Yeah, that's really just about it. William, let me know what you think after you've had a chance to check the video out. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. If anyone has questions, needs any help, anything built, whatever, let me know. And stay tuned. We got some new stuff to come. For example, this Night Brother dual saber staff that I just finished up. This guy is all done, and we'll definitely do a video on this very shortly. What else? What else is new? Another really cool staff that I'm working on for Zen. This is Satel Shan's dual lightsaber staff. Totally empty and hollow with the exception of the blade connectors, as you can see. Just got these in, just started working on them, but they have a really cool etching that Zen had custom done. I'm not positive who did the work, but nice work, definitely, for sure. I will definitely have to get that information and pass it on to you guys in case anyone needs something etched. I can do that too, but it's not something that I do a lot of. But this guy is obviously quite good at it. The detail is great, the finish is great. I'm certainly impressed with the nice etching job that he did. And I guess that's just about it for now. So thank you guys and stay tuned.